Hello everyone, I'm Kim and welcome to my sewing room. I hope you all had a glorious week this week. The weather has been absolutely fantastic, though we have had a few thunderstorms, but the sun is winning through at the moment, which is great. And I decided, because it was still lovely, I really wanted to continue making summer clothes. But after last week's two balloon sleeve tops, I really didn't know what I wanted to make. And I was sitting downstairs in the evening thinking and trying to plan, and my Make 9 came into my head. So at the beginning of the year we set our Make 9 challenges, and I knew one of the challenges was a swimsuit, and I knew I had the pattern and the fabric, so I decided to make the Sinclair Indigo one-piece swimsuit. Now, I haven't made a swimsuit before, and so in that respect it was a challenge. I knew that I would be doing things that I hadn't done before, for instance using swimsuit elastic and putting in a lining, a shelf bra lining, so that was new to me as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up and show you the swimsuit that I've got on, and then I'm going to change out of it and just go through the pattern itself and some of the things that I experienced whilst making the swimsuit. So I'm warning you now, I'm very pasty, so be warned. And when I stand up I might lob my head off, so I apologise for that also. So here we go. So as you can see, it's a one-piece swimsuit. So the front is ruched, so there's a panel here which is ruched, so it gives a nice effect. The side panels aren't ruched, they're just plain, and they run all the way from the bottom all the way up into the straps. Then you have a bra panel here, and this is where your bust sits. Then at the back you have a keyhole, and believe me, that was a bit of a challenge with the elastic, but I really enjoyed making the swimsuit, and I wouldn't mind making one of these again, so really pleased. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out of it, and I'm just going to go through it and show you the inside of it. Right, I actually had some IT issues and my phone had a funny moment and I lost my video. So this is my second attempt at making this video. So to recap, I'm just going to go through the actual swimsuit now. Now I've taken it off. So you can see it has a square neck with a very slight dip in the middle. It has a bra panel with the ruching, and at the back you can see the keyhole, and through the keyhole you can see the lining, and the lining actually has a shelf bra in it, which I haven't done before, so it was all quite new to me. So I've turned it inside out so you can see the whole thing is lined, and you have this shelf bra, and at the bottom of this shelf bra you have this thicker elastic which literally sits underneath your bust and just holds your bust firmly in place. And that worked really well. It does feel quite secure on. So that is it all lined. So it's lined all the way around, and the lining and the fabric are stitched completely at the side, so it's all secure into the sides and around the armhole, neck, legs and the keyhole. So when making this swimsuit I realised there are lots of elements to it that you have to take into account. So the first one is your height. There are 3 different height options: petite, regular or tall. Then once you've selected which height you want, then you move on to your base size, and the base size is either regular or full bust. So if the difference between your upper bust and your full bust is 3 inches or more, you're a full bust size, and you need to then cut the appropriate pieces. The last element is what version you are going to pick. So there's either plain, panelled, or ruche tummied and panelled. And you think it would stop there, but it doesn't, because as well as the version, you have to then pick how you want it lined, whether you want it lined, and if you do, whether you want that lining to be straightforward lining through the swimsuit, or whether you want an optional shelf bra. So once you've selected how you want your swimsuit to be, plain, panelled or ruched, whether you want it lined with a shelf bra. So once you've decided what you want, then you know what fabric, how much fabric that you need to select, and which fabric pieces, pattern pieces, sorry, you need to cut out. And because there were so many elements to this swimming costume, I did get a little confused. And I think with being, well, what I would call an experienced sewist, I had to literally take a step back and read through the instructions really slowly, because when I cut the pattern out, first of all, I did cut a few pieces that weren't right, so I needed to just sort of start again and read through all of the instructions to make sure that I was cutting out what I actually needed, and also making sure that I was cutting the right lining pieces, because they are different. Some parts of them are different from the main fabric. Very confusing, but if you read through the pattern, you'll be all right. I decided to pick, and I don't know whether I did this right or not, but I decided to pick a size 18. Though my bust on the sizing chart said I should actually pick a 16, I didn't feel comfortable with the 16, and with trying it on and wearing it, it feels okay, but I wonder what it would feel like once it's full of water, whether the weight of the water will just add a little bit more stretch to it. But I'm going to test it out in the shower and see whether it does stretch out of place, and if it does, I'll make a note on my project sheet that next time to maybe go down from an 18 to a 16. But at the moment, as a dry garment, it's okay, so at least I can sunbathe in it rather than swim in it. Once I had worked my way through all of the different elements, I selected tulle because I'm 5'7". I then opted for the full bust version because my upper bust and full bust have a 3-inch difference, so I knew I had to select a full bust, and I wanted the ruched tummy version. I also wanted to line it and have a shelf bra in the lining. So with that said, I went through the whole of the pattern and made a list of each of the steps that I needed to follow, and I wrote those out. So I knew that as I worked my way through the instruction manual, that once I'd finished each step, I knew which was the next step that I needed to move on to, because there are just so many elements to this, and they're all in that manual. So when she discusses lining, she has a section on all the different ways you can line. So I just thought I need to make sure that I'm doing the right bit at the right time. So once I had written out my step list, I was comfortable, and then I knew which pieces I needed to cut out in the fabric and the lining. So the fabric that I selected was it was classed as swimwear fabric, and it's from First For Fabrics, and it's also classed as active wear. It's got a really good, it's got a nice strong recovery stretch on it, and this is actually 82% polyester and 18% elastane, and it has a 4-way stretch, so it stretches both ways, so it moves really nice on the body. So as well as that, and for the size that I picked, which was an 18, I needed a metre, which isn't a lot, so that was great. And I also have this power mesh. So this power mesh, I originally bought this to make bras with, but I haven't made any bras. And hopefully that's something I will look into next year. But I bought quite a lot of this. As I mean, it's sheer, it has a lot of stretch, it's 4-way stretch again, and this is 92% polyester and 8% elastane, and that worked really well with the swimming costume. And as well as the fabric, you need to also buy elastic. Now the elastic for swimwear is different from the usual clear elastic that we buy to put in our garments, because obviously your swimsuit is going to be exposed to things like seawater and which has salt in it, and chlorine, and both of those can erode elastic. So I did buy some special elastic, because it's actually swimwear elastic, and it is definitely a lot denser than the clear stuff. And I could only get it in grey, but it's not a problem because you don't see any of this, because the fabric is actually wrapped around this when you stitch it. So and that is quite dense. And I also got this from First for Fabrics, and you do need quite a lot of that, because obviously it goes around both armholes, the neck, the keyhole and the leg, so you do need quite a bit of that. But the instructions tell you how much you need for each opening. So that's the elastic. And the other bit of elastic is the usual elastic that we use, which is the knitted elastic, which we use in our garments. And I just use the white stuff that I had in my stash, and this is quite wide. I think this is 1.5 inches wide, and I cut this down to 1 inch, and this is what sits underneath the bust in the shelf bra. So that worked really well, and it does feel that it supports you, it's not flimsy at all. So that's the fabrics, lining and elastic. I then needed to find the needle size, so I started off with an 80 stretch needle, and this, I think it was more the elastic did not like that needle, it kept skipping stitches. So then I moved up to a 90 super stretch needle, and that worked really well. So you can see on the swimsuit, most of this, when it is stitched, let me see if I find a bit that you can see. You can see that it is zigzag, so it zigzagged all the way around. So obviously it needs to be able to stretch, so that when you're wearing it, it's going to move as well, and none of those stitches are going to pop. So you can see the elastic is well and truly hidden. It's sort of sandwiched between all of the different fabric and lining layers, so I wouldn't worry about the colour so much. So I would suggest, if you're going to do a swimsuit, just practice a little bit on some of the fabric and the elastic, just to see which needle works with your chosen fabric and also your machine. So that is my Indigo one-piece swimsuit, and would I make it again? Yes, I would. I really enjoyed making it. It was fun. It wasn't a quick make, because obviously all of that fabric is quite slippery with the elastic, and you need to sort of stretch the elastic whilst you're trying to keep the lining and the main fabric stable. So I just took it really slowly, and it did work out. I didn't have to unpick, which was great, and I just took it nice and slow. The only part which I felt I had, the only two pieces of the instructions where I found I struggled a bit with, was the neckline, because the neckline is square. So you have this square neckline, and obviously you're trying to turn at a 90 degree angle, and that was quite difficult, and trying to keep that quite square. So I struggled a bit with that, but obviously once it's on, it stretches out, it all looked okay. So the perfectionist in me thinks, you know, I'm looking at it but from that distance. Everybody else is going to be looking at it from, you know, so far they won't even notice any stitching at all. They'll just be looking at this thinking, oh, what a lovely swimsuit. And the other thing I had difficulty with was the elastic guide that they provided. They would tell you how long each piece of elastic needed to be, and how you needed to stretch it to fit into each of the openings to be stitched, and I couldn't understand the guide at all. So I basically stretched it evenly along each of the openings, and it works okay at the moment, but the real tester will be when I, you know, wear it out in the real world and see how it goes. So very happy with that make. This week I have made a few purchases. I've made some fabric purchases, and I've also bought a pattern, and I've also bought some samples. I'm starting to get into the habit of purchasing samples because I have bought so many fabrics in the past where I think they're going to look and feel one way, and then when they arrive they haven't lived up to the expectation, and they sit in my stash for ages until I actually find something to, you know, make out of them. So I have been trying to get into the good habit of buying samples, but I went on to one of my favourite fabric suppliers, which is Croft Mill, and I decided that I needed to make these C4 pants. I keep talking about making them and building up my pants trouser stash, and I bought some twill. So I bought this really dark blue. So it's called, so I've made up my little card. It's called Emmet Twill, and it's dark teal, and it's 100% cotton. Its weight is 200 grams per square metre, and I bought 2 meters, and it is 145 centimeters wide, which is 57 inches. Now it does have a tiny little bit of stretch in it, just a smidge. It's just enough, but sometimes I do like a little bit of stretch in my trousers, because when I sit down, that little bit of stretch just makes them more comfortable to sit in. So therefore C4 pants. So when I was on the website, I like we do, all of us do, we go off and start looking at other things. I did buy this crazy psychedelic fabric, and I just thought this would make a really nice shirt. I don't know which shirt yet, but I've made another card. So I've made my card out. Both of these fabrics have been put in the wash, so they are basically ready to go into my stash if I don't make something up in them straight away. But I just really like that. But this fabric is it's called Printed Voile Tripping Red, and it's 1.5 meters and 156 centimeters wide, which is 61 inches. It's 85 grams per square meter, so it is quite fine, and it is 52% rayon with 48% cotton. So yes, it's just got a nice feel to it, and it does drape quite nicely as well. And you can see I've overlocked it. Before I put this in the wash, I overlocked it because this stuff frays like mad. So that is my 2 pieces of fabric that I bought this week, and I have plans for one, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the other. So whilst I was on Croft Mill, I also decided to buy some samples. So I've got a little sheet of samples here. So I've got my original 2 fabrics that I bought, and I then purchased 5 samples. Well, the first one you get free, so you get 1 free sample, and the other 4 cost me 50p each, which is perfectly okay. So I bought this bottle chambray cotton. It's very fine. It is 110 grams per square metre. It's very fine, but it's just such a lovely colour, and I really like that. But I don't know whether I will buy any yet, because obviously I am starting to think about autumn sewing, and even with the window open I can feel a slight chill come in, so I know it's on its way. Next to that is this soft cotton fabric, and that is called Tencel Feel Denim Chambray. So that's a little bit heavier, 190 grams per square metre, so it's a little bit heavier than the top one. That's you could probably see through that, but this one you can't. And this third sample, I really like this third sample. Now this is burnout fabric, so behind these little flowers you can see me, and I just thought that would probably make a really good cover up, a beachwear cover up, and that would go quite nicely with my swimsuit. So I can make a cover up, so obviously if you go off to have a drink or eat, you've got something to put on that covers up, and it's really nice and light and cool. So I really like that, so I might get some of that. And I have been looking at different patterns that I could use as a cover up, or a caftan, something like that. So I won't discuss those yet, because I will if I decide to do that in the future. This piece of sample fabric here, I really like this. I really like the colour and I like the design on it, and that is called Frankie Cotton. It's 100% cotton poplin, but it's very, very fine, and it feels like cotton lawn, so it's very fine. And I could see myself making a shirt out of that actually, and that would go really nice with the twill fabric that I bought for the Seaforth pants that I'm going to make. So that's another option, I might purchase some of that. And the last sample is another twill. It is 100% cotton. It doesn't give the grams per square metre, but it is quite dense. It feels quite dense, and I don't know whether it's too dense for the Seaforth pants, but that would actually make a nice jacket. And I am in an iron about this one, because I already have a green jacket, and I'm trying to maybe introduce some other colours that will match with other things in my wardrobe. So I'm glad I got the samples, because otherwise I would have just bought them, and out of all of those samples I would probably only buy 2 of them. So I think samples for me personally are a good investment, because they will save me money further down the line. So those are my fabric purchases. And the pattern I bought this week was from Pattern Emporium. They released a new pattern, and they had a launch day and a discount. So I thought, well, I'm gonna get it, because I have enjoyed making their patterns just recently, and it is the downtown jacket, and I thought this would be really a nice jacket to go into autumn with. So I sent off the pattern to be printed AO, and I've also got them to print off this booklet. I haven't had an opportunity to go through it yet, and I will definitely be making that, because it has such a lovely sleeve effect. Let me show you if I can, the sleeve effect. There it is. So you can see it has these really big cuffs on it, and you can just put some really nice buttons on there. If you want to put 1 button on, 2 or 3, you can really make that sleeve quite effective, and I do like the idea of that. So that is my pattern purchase, and I definitely want to make that, so you might see that coming quite quickly. And this fabric here would actually work quite well with that jacket, but I don't particularly want that colour. So head spinning again, trying to decide what to do next, but I'm going to concentrate on making some seaforth pants, and I might actually try to use that lovely red fabric, because I haven't made anything in red for a while, and I do think it is a colour that suits me, because I have, you know, red in my hair. So I think that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the content, and if you aren't a subscriber, it would be lovely if you could subscribe. And if you are one of my regular subscribers, yet again, thank you for supporting my small channel, and I hope you all have a fabulous week and enjoy the remainder of our summer sun, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye.